Hello, it's Dave here, and thank you for tuning in to this next video. So we're going to talk about today is opening your third eye and your psychic powers with a practice of love. This is not a figure of speech. This is a literal practice that you do, and I would say one of the more powerful practices that you do out there, that you can do out there to help open your higher centers. And since those are the seat of your psychic abilities and intuitive capabilities, this is how you get there. It's a practice probably that maybe most people, it's not the most glamorous practice in the world, but it is very, very effective. And what you need for having those higher centers open is a very clear channel from root to crown, all the way down, all the way up, especially in your central channel. As long as there is a relative level of purity in those channels and they're clean and they're open, you can have a very strong energy flow from bottom to top and have that energy coming up to the 6 and 7 chakras, which will provide the fuel for it and the ability for you to have some of those higher intuitive capabilities. And so a lot of people, myself included, a lot of those channels are clogged. They're just like dirty pipes, and just like a clogged pipe in your kitchen or bathroom, as soon as you try and turn the faucet on, the water stops and it doesn't move through. And it's the exact same thing with your energy channels that go up and down inside your body. When they are clogged, the energy can no longer flow up to the higher centers and it gets blocked. And so what blocks that energy flow are different themes of fear states that are held within your energy body. And the best thing to counter fear is, of course, love. And so if you adopt these practices, which I'm going to talk about, then that's how you open the flow of energy from root all the way up to crown to open those higher centers. So each of those 7 energy centers has a theme that it represents and something that blocks the flow of energy from one chakra to the next. And so in the root chakra, it's just fear, safety, security, and survival. And so this is what I do. This is the meditative practice that I would do on my own. I would just lay down, and anytime that I have had threatening situations or fear or even other people's beliefs imprinted upon me about what I need for my safety and survival, I've got to go into my meditation and hold those with a space of safety and love and compassion and forgive and release those situations. And that practice helps move the energy up from the root to the second chakra. And so the second chakra is all about pleasure seeking, but the energy that blocks the flow in that chakra is going to be all the energy around guilt, which can be yours or can be, again, something that someone else put upon you. So in the meditation, when you're laying down on your back, and just go into that chakra and just review all the scenarios in your life where you thought something was your fault, or you blamed yourself for it, or someone else blamed you for it, even if it wasn't your fault. All of those situations, that energy is going to be stored in the second chakra. And so by forgiving and releasing and meeting those situations with love and compassion, that actually clears those fear states up that are held in your energy body and allows the energy to move up to the next chakra, so your third chakra. And this one is all about confidence and self-esteem. And so what blocks the energy flow in this chakra is just shame. So any situation in your meditation, go into that chakra and start to review any time in your life which you felt like you were not good enough, which you felt like you were not adequate, or where you felt like you didn't deserve to be there, or someone else put that on you. And you took it on. And all of those fear states and all of those negative self-judgments regarding your value and your self-worth are going to be stored in that third chakra. And that's going to block the energy from flowing up. So again, the practice of love and compassion and meeting those situations with love and compassion and holding them in the light and forgiving and letting go allows the energy to move up to the heart. And the heart, of course, is all about love for self and love for others. But the energy that blocks the flow in the heart is predominantly grief. And so in the meditation, anytime in your life which you have experienced loss, there's always grief with loss. Go back to those scenarios, remember them, bring them up. If the emotions come up, just allow them and allow that grief to express itself. So anytime there is crying or uncontrollable crying, which can happen in sort of the spiritual awakening process, that is the heart purging grief from the energy body, but that allows the energy to continue to flow up. And so also with the heart, in addition to just letting go of grief, it's also just what are your definitions of love for self and others? And, do your definitions of love, do you only love someone if they do something nice for you, or do you only love someone if they act in the way that you want or in the way that you expect? There's all these different sort of sidebars that we put in attachments and conditions that we put on the way we love others and the way we love ourselves. All of those blockages are going to be stored in the heart. And how do you love yourself? Especially, how do you treat your body? What kind of lifestyle behaviors do you have that either nourish you and feed you or are self-destructive? And so through your actions, that is the embodiment of self-love, by choosing to act and behave in a way and treat yourself and your body in a way that nourishes it and feeds it. So this is in your meditation, going back to those scenarios of grief, but also through your actions on a day-to-day basis. You have to hold and embody those actions consistently and repetitively over time in order to keep the flow moving, because anytime you go back into a negative definition of love or a self-destructive behavior, then the fear energy blockages start to accumulate back in the heart center, and that blocks the flow of energy. So moving on into the throat, the ability, the theme is just self-expression, expressing and truly being and expressing who you are and being honest. And the energy flow in this center is blocked by lies. And this is one, I think, that for myself and certainly a lot of people, we all deceive ourselves at times. We all lie to others because we want to escape consequences, or we want to escape judgment, or it's just a condition that society has put on us, and this is how you behave, and we just adopt that. But learning to be truthful and honest and embodying that in your behaviors and facing the truth and accepting the truth, even if there's consequences to that, embodying those behaviors, that is what's going to help the energy flow higher up past the throat and into the sixth center, which is going to deal a lot with, and now there's a lot surrounding this. A lot of people want to open the sixth energy center for the psychic powers and the abilities, and that can be really exciting, but the main focus that you want to have here is accurate perception of what is. The way to be able to look at situations and scenarios objectively and see how they are, or people for who they are, rather than what is projected, or what are you projecting onto it, or whether other people are projecting onto it. So the ability to see and perceive the truth. And the energy flow is blocked in this chakra mostly by illusion or delusion, so your own misperceptions of what is going on. And there's a couple main perceptions that you really want to focus on becoming into alignment with. One is just there's good and bad in everyone and everything. We live in a reality of polarity, and if all you can ever see in someone is the bad, that is not true. It's partially true because everyone has both, but there is another side to them. And if all you can only ever see in a person is good and you can't see the bad, then that's your own delusion or illusion that you're projecting onto that person. So to be able to cut through that and see in every situation what is good and what is bad, and looking at through a lens of duality and polarity in every moment, in every situation. The second perception to work on to help the energy flow through the chakra is, can you just see the divinity in everybody? Beyond duality, beyond polarity, everyone has that spark of divinity in them, and can you see them as that? And that can be very, very difficult sometimes, but that is the truth. And so embodying that as your behavior and destroying your own illusions and misperceptions about how life is and how people are and how situations are is a very good practice through bringing the energy up, getting rid of those blocks, and moving the energy all the way up to the crown, which has to do with your connection to divinity. And what blocks this predominantly is a really, really, really strong ego identity, because your ego identity is the small version of yourself. Your divine self and your source self that you connect to through the crown is so vast and so expansive that any small definition of your own identity that you give to yourself automatically blocks out connection to the rest of your greater self. So learning as a practice, learning to keep your ego in check. You don't destroy the ego, but you just learn to keep it in check and not let it rule you. But even greater than that, your practice of love here is the practice of surrender. It's a very, very, very high form of love. Learning to strengthen and build that connection to divinity within yourself, not just yourself, but all around you. And the practice of being able to see how everything and everyone is connected and operating from that standpoint. And if you can do that, it's a very strong practice of love that allows the energy to flow up to the higher and the highest center. And that is how you open your higher centers that are responsible for your psychic abilities and your intuitive capabilities. And it all has to do with practicing and embodying love. So that's it. It's a practice that does take work, it does take time, and it does take effort, but it is probably one of the most powerful practices that you can do. And it is the practice that is going to take you to the highest level. Because any other practice that does not involve coming from a place of love is ultimately going to be self-limiting, especially if you're trying to develop and enhance your intuitive and psychic capabilities. Specifically for what I said earlier on, is that the energy channels have to be purified. And if you're just trying to open this chakra or this chakra only just for the psychic abilities alone and not opening the rest of your energy channels along with it, then all of those clogged pipes, all of those blockages and in the energy body, they stop the energy from coming up to here in the first place. And if you don't get by those, that is going to be very, very self-limiting in terms of how you're able to grow and how you're able to expand not only your psychic abilities, but also as a person in general. And so this is a practice, I think, that is not necessarily just thought of as a practice. You want to think of this as a lifestyle that you embody, that you do and live and behave on a day-to-day basis, moment-to-moment basis, because as soon as you revert back into negative behaviors, that's going to clog up your energy channels again. So this is like I said at the beginning, this is a literal thing. This is not a figurative practice, opening your third eye. This is a literal practice, not a figurative thing when I'm talking about opening up your third eye with a practice of love and compassion and forgiveness. So this is my 2 cents on opening your higher centers, and it does keep you balanced through the process. And that is what you want. You want to maintain stability and balance through the entire process so you can still live your life. If you just open these centers only, it can throw your life so far out of balance, it's very, very hard to function. So, all right, I'm going long on time here, so thank you very much for watching. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave below, and take care. Much love to everyone.